All right, so this is in 2 days, we get to see how close I am on, what I'm saying about these characters. Support or not support, whether or not. Well, let's get started because this is going to be Ragatha and Kinger, introduced in theme as Raga, Raga, not Ragatha, which actually is telling us something. Her name, or I guess she is Ragatha, but went by the nickname Raga. So there's Raga and whatever. When they were singing the theme song. So she probably went by the name Raga and decided for the new girl that she wants to go back to Ragatha. So who knows? Starts trying to calm the new, she called it Pomni new stuff. But yeah, she knew that Pomni was a newcomer into the circus, tried to calm her down almost immediately, and decided she is Ragatha. She is no longer going by the nickname Raga, but actually her full name, Ragatha. Well, leave? What? Others? I don't know this. Oh, wait, no. Well, and then it says leave in parentheses. Oh, when Pomni asked, "Can I leave?" Ragatha didn't want to disappoint Pomni, and so she went, "Well," and others bluntly explaining to Pomni that they can't leave, that they're trapped there. And she says, "Don't be mean." Actually, they were trying to give her, they were trying to be blunt, give Pomni the reality of the situation. Not to say that Pomni is in a living hell, but that, here's the situation and here's the reality of what's going on. It's sad, but unfortunately, we're stuck with it for 3 more years. No, I'm not getting political. I'm not gonna complain about the administration and how it's put so much stress on my life. That's part of why I can't get the video made on time and why I'm doing all this extra stuff. Let's see. 9 minute 50 seconds in, there's a quote, and Ragatha panicking. What is that? Something. Oh, Kaufmo until Kaufmo. Okay, so yeah. So when she was going to introduce Pomni to Kaufmo, she was starting to say something and was freaking herself out, almost like anxiety disorder. And like I said, I know Andrea has anxiety disorder. Lee has anxiety disorder. I don't know if Molly has anxiety disorder. She doesn't quite panic like the other two. Plus, Molly hasn't been diagnosed. Trevin does not have anxiety disorder. Although, once again, who knows? Actually, I doubt he has. Let's get back to this. Afraid of centipedes, which, as I said, I took that note because it comes later on, with Jack's talking about centipedes in the bomb, or no, when centipedes were in the bomb, and then when there was centipedes in the stand at the softball game. Now let's see. Suggests King can fix corrupted, not abstracted, humans. The reason I'm stating corrupted, and I put it in quotes, so I don't know if she said he can fix the corrupted, is because she knows that Cain cannot unabstract the humans, or he would have, rather than just sealing them off in darkness, sweeping them under the rug, as it were. And so she suggested that Cain could fix her, as well as Pomni's hand, but we saw what happened there. In pain by the corruption. So, yes, they do feel pain, sort of. Ragatha was impaled with spikes at one point, and, so I want to show that, yes, when they get corrupted, not abstracted, because that's a different thing, that's when they're in bliss, that it does cause them pain because it's, tearing from their insides. Episode 2. Acts a bit depressed to tell Pomni they can still be good friends. Oh, desperate, not depressed, sorry. And I said I can't read my own handwriting. But yeah, she's desperate for Pomni and her to be friends. It's like, no, you have to like me. Wasn't Pomni the one who was a YouTuber but felt like no one cared about her videos? Ragatha, and this is part of her psyche though, is where she is desperate for everyone to like her because, well, later on we'll hear about her mother and her life growing up. Attempts to make Pomni happy by being patronizing. Oh, yeah, so Pomni's the one who said, would you stop patronizing me? No, it wasn't that Ragatha was trying to be patronizing. It's, no, here, you will like this because I had a bad childhood, so I want you to have a good childhood. Let me treat you like a little kid, not on purpose, but because I wish I was treated that way. Interaction there, which, as I said, the interactions were about relationship building. And once again, not romance, except for there might be some that were related to romance. But, the friendship building and all that. The bonding. Worried Pomni doesn't like her that much. Well, if you didn't act so desperate, and if you weren't a bit patronizing, trying to treat Pomni like a little girl, then she wouldn't have made you feel like she didn't like you that much. Kinger reminds Ragatha how long it took her, as in Ragatha, to adjust to the circus. That should actually be in Kinger's. Pomni sort of forgot about that. Anyway, I think that should have been in Kinger's notes. I have it in Ragatha's notes, so who knows. Tries to console Pomni. So once again, Ragatha's trying to console Pomni. Oh, and that's when Cain snapped Gummy Goo out of existence, and Pomni was distraught. So Ragatha tried to console her. Invites Pomni to Kaufmo's funeral. Remember, Pomni doesn't know Kaufmo other than when they opened the door and the abstraction attacked. So Pomni had no reason to be at the funeral. Ragatha was inviting Pomni to show Pomni that everyone cares. And then spoke at, as well as started. So she's the one that started Kaufmo's funeral, where they got up to speak. Oh, only one note from episode 3, and that was when she holds her breath, her hair sticks up. Which, once again, I think I was taking notes on what happens when they hold their breath, as well as during the awards, how many points they got, or how many votes they got. Episode 4 teaches Gangle softball, which this was foreshadowing. The only reason they have that scene in there is foreshadowing. Gets stupid sauce in her eye. So yeah, during the working, the stupid sauce got in her eye. Let's see. Ragatha. I miss my horses was a quote. Now, I once knew this girl. I call them guys and girls, right? I knew this female. Actually, I guess I could call her a girl. She was 16. And she actually, her family was not rich by any means. However, they did have enough money. She had a horse that lived on her grandmother's ranch. And so, yeah, that would be one person whose family happened to have a relative that raised horses. So, I miss my horses is actually, I'm picturing one of those country girls that would have grown up on a ranch that had horses. Let's see. There's an interaction there. Okay, what's my notes? Packages landing on my head. Tea parties. Dancing lessons. Oh, when she was having her mental breakdown there, being on drugs or stupid sauce. So, packages landing on my head. Yeah, that just recently happened. Tea parties. Now, when you think of a ranch girl, you don't think of tea parties. However, if you think of a plantain field or a plantation field, whatever they're called, then yeah, the rich Southern belle. That explains the horses, that explains the tea parties, and that explains the dancing lessons. In essence, she's like a Scarlett O'Hara. Or is it pronounced O'Hara? Let's see. Oh, and because she's on stupid sauce, she is uncensored with, she always keeps whatever she wants to say to herself, but she just blurted it out. You're kind of annoying when you have your happy mask, to Gangle. It was just something that she thought, and it came out because she was on stupid sauce. She did not have that filter about her like she usually does. Jax at the softball game was talking about Ragatha always putting on a facade. And this shows part of that facade. Because when she says to Gangle what she thought because of the stupid sauce, yeah, that was the real Ragatha. And that's because of her upbringing with her overbearing mother who would always put her down and such. So it makes sense. And yeah, that immediately realizes that was mean to say. Oh, yeah, so after she says that, being unfiltered, she realizes, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Feels a bit bad, but, she says to Jax, I hate you, but I don't want you to hate me. Yeah, once again, unfiltered, she would not have told Jax that if she wasn't on stupid sauce, because she wants everyone to like her, since her mother did not show her love. And she just does not like Jax at all. I don't know. I think something occurred between Ragatha and Jax before Pomni showed up, and it had to do with Ribbit and Ribbit's abstraction. So, or it could be because Jax is somewhat of a bully, which makes sense. But she still wants everyone to like her. When Jax accuses her of being drunk, she accepts that assertion. So, she's saying, yeah, I'm drunk. She admits it. Attempts to see a bright side. Yeah, so, and we're in episode 5. Okay. So something happened, and she always wants to see the bright side of the thing. Oh, after returning from a sea adventure, I really should finish reading my notes before I start. So in this one, they returned from, and I'm guessing it was some sort of sea adventure. There was seaweed at least. And they were drenched or something, so it had to have been some sort of underwater, in the ocean, who knows what. But yeah, Ragatha's trying to find the brighter side, the bright side. Well, at least, and such, votes yes for Jack being a vegan. Interaction. Didn't mean to, but blurted out, not anyone. Oh, not anymore. Oh, does Jax have any friends? And she says, not anymore. She didn't mean to. And that's because his best friends, Ribbit and Kaufmo, were abstracted. I mean, that wasn't nice of her to say. And she just blurted it out because, well, as she said before, she doesn't care for Jax. And so, let's see. She voted no for what Jax attempted on Zubul there. Doesn't know the referencing Jax was making. So Jax referenced something. Oh, I think he was referencing like a TV show or something. Ragatha did not understand that. But this was a pop culture reference. Therefore, Ragatha is probably older than Jax. And yeah, when it comes to it, it'll be interesting to see, because there are age differences here. Such as Zubul is older than Gangle. And we know that Gangle was an adult to have been manager or assistant manager. And so for me saying that Zubul is older, and I'm talking not a couple years, but, more than that, at least a decade, I think. They might be a generation apart. But we're not talking about that. Let's get back to born into a fairly wealthy family, which, as I said, made sense from from what she said while on Stupid Sauce. The family had large property with horses and chickens. Once again, we're thinking almost like a ranch, but I'm thinking like a plantation field. What can I say? This is bananas. And for those of you that don't know, plantains are related, but they're not bananas. For one thing, you can eat bananas raw. Plantains, it's horrible. You cook plantains. Anyway, back to this. Fairly wealthy family, horses, chickens. Her mother was, well, a lot. As I said, her mother was overbearing and critical. And that was Ragatha's upbringing. And that's why Ragatha, because her mother kept putting her down, wants people to like her. But she too can, is like her mother, can sort of take things a bit much. Anyway, worked in real estate for a bit. Until I ended up here. So there's a story. As I said, we know how Pomni ended up in the circus because she was exploring an abandoned building. She found that office. She put on the headset because the computer was on and running. Jax. So Jax was running away from home, in a manner of speaking. He was escaping. He wanted to escape his life. And he ended up in the building. Now, none of this is mentioned within the 7 episodes. As I said, I'm only basing this on the 7 episodes released. None of the ARG stuff, none of the notes from the official website or anything, just solely based on the 7 episodes. And it's my understanding that Jax was running away from something, running away from whatever was going on in his life, and just happened to encounter that office. Everyone, they entered through that office, found the headset, was curious, and put it on. Ragatha. Well, if she was in real estate, chances are she was exploring this building because it was her job to sell this building. Her company wanted to buy that building, and so she was supposed to check it out and see what was going on. She saw this computer is still running. There's a headset, and put it on. All right. Wait. Right. Until I end up here. Okay. Is sure her mother doesn't miss her. Oh. Yeah. So she was, even though she was in real estate, her mother was still controlling her life for the most part. And she's saying, maybe she left off with telling her mother off. or something, and so she figures her mother never loved her anyway. Oh, and berating and guilt trips. Oh, wait, no, that's from Ragatha doesn't miss the yelling and berating and guilt trips from her mother. As I said, her mother was too much. And that's why Ragatha has that kind of personality. Let's see, realizing her something ability was showing. Oh, her vulnerability was showing. Took a drink and stated, just kind of a farm girl. Oh, because when she was telling what all this was about, you know, she realized, oh, I'm showing my vulnerability, just like Jax. No wonder they don't get along. They don't like showing their vulnerabilities. And so she was, Ragatha hides it under her. I'm happy, I'm helpful, everyone likes me. While Jax is, I'm the funny one. I can bully people and everyone laughs. Let's see. Fears Jax is taking Pomni away from her. Yes. Overreacts and nervously talks about the episode 1 incident. As in, oh, remember the time that Kaufmo corrupted me and that you tried to help me and that takes us back? Please don't leave me. So, once again, Ragatha is panicking there. The softball game was her suggestion, and yes, I do have an interaction between those two notes. Oh, 18 minutes, 28 seconds in episode 5. There's a quote. Does Ragatha secretly wish she could die? Oh, Ragatha was showing or was saying stuff that seems like depression, suicidal thoughts. And so the quote, episode 5, 18 minutes, 28 seconds in, is she said something which made me think perhaps she has depression, suicidal depression. Let's see, voted yes. Most likely this was putting Jax in the maid uniform. Interaction. Does, all caps there, does apologize to Jax for bringing up about him no longer having his friends. She felt bad about it, genuinely. She doesn't feel bad that Jax doesn't have friends. She thinks he deserves not having friends the way he acts. But yeah, she felt bad about it. And it was just eating away at her. She thought she was becoming a bad person like her mother. And so, yeah, she did apologize. And she did mean her apology. Sees Pomni smirking at Jax's antics and gets worried. She thinks she's losing Pomni to Jax. Notices Pomni walking off with Jax. Oh, and then at the end of the episode, she noticed Pomni was walking off with Jax. The other three were walking off together. Sighs, then walks off on her own because she felt like nobody likes me. You know, she felt like she's been abandoned. Episode 6. Worried because she suspects Pomni didn't like her softball suggestion. Well, Pomni's not really into sports, but she's saying, this is another thing Pomni hates about me. Declines pairing up with Pomni. That one she felt bad about. She wanted to pair up with Pomni, but she was afraid that she was losing Pomni to Jax, and instead of talking to Pomni, wanted to hide the fact because that would show her vulnerability. Already after half an hour? Okay, rush through this. Starts with only 2 lives because of getting shot by Jax before the game started. There's an interaction. Nervously attempts to reassure Pomni that she, Ragatha, is always there for her, Pomni. What? Oh, do I have notes out of order here? I don't know. Doesn't really want to shoot or get shot. Hey, I know the same, or I know that. I'm a pacifist, so I wouldn't want to shoot or get shot either. Doesn't know how to fire a gun. Hey, if she's, doesn't like violence, then that would make sense. Ends up picking up comedy prop gun, which, is just the, it was the circus doing that to her, really. There's an interaction. Oh, she stuck finger in Jax's gun for the cartoon gun backfire bit. It actually worked, and that was great. First one in the loser corner. Remember, Ragatha feels like a loser before she entered the loser corner. Then there was an interaction. Oh, with Kinger when he was there and she finally started talking to him. I mean, that's all she had to do is, she needed counseling. Perfect, because as I said, this was originally supposed to counsel, yes, the criminally insane, but, it was supposed to be a counseling program turned into a game where they can live out stuff and, while they adjust to reality, or not much reality in the circus, though. Feels like she failed Pomni, just like I failed Jax. So she wanted to help Jax, meaning Jax was sort of different. He was still a bully, except he wasn't that bad. It was him and his 2 friends, pranking everyone. So it wasn't a I'm being mean on purpose that Jax does now. Worries she tried too hard and now they hate her. I'm assuming everyone. Who knows? Yeah, because I wrote down and now they hate her. Could be Pomni and Jax that my notes about. Puts pressure on herself to be there for everyone when she's not. She beats herself up for it. Oh, when she's not there for everyone, she puts pressure on herself to be there because, once again, as I said, her mother was not there for her when she needed it and was always criticizing her. And so, of course, she wants to be the opposite, not realizing how she's coming across. Just wants everyone to be happy and no one to hate her. Because, once again, her mother probably said that people will just hate her. If you've seen Stephen King's Carrie's mother, dressed and acting like a cat in the loser corner. Oh, yeah, once again, I mentioned the 3 that were dressed and acting like a cat. There's an interaction. Sits with Pomni. left a seat for Jax, meaning she wants to make amends with Jax. She and Pomni show concern for Jax. She got 4 votes. And we have... Where is it? Here. Asks what the adventure is. Oh, now we're on episode 7. Asks what the adventure is. There's an interaction. While playing in the lake, her button eye falls into the lake. Which I wanted to point out that her button eye, as in she sees through the button eye, right? But once it detaches from her, she cannot see through that eye. Otherwise, she'd know where her eye was or something. When Pomni resurfaces the second time, she asks, "Did you find it?" Oh yeah, because Pomni had to go up when the fish were talking. Let's see, there's an interaction. Asks Pomni if Pomni, thinks Kinger really worked with Abel. So she trusts Pomni's judgment. She thinks that if Pomni is saying, yeah, they work together, then that's all she needs. But even Ragatha was having doubts, but didn't want to say anything. And then the rest was interaction. And let's see. And now we get to Kinger. And I have to really go through this. Kinger. Well, we'll start with Queenie. I know Queenie. I don't have the thing for Queenie. I only have the minifigs. Those were custom minifigs I found at Rose City Comic Con. There was a booth that had them. That's why I purchased. They're knockoffs, of course. They're not official. Anyway, Queenie. Kinger retells the story in episode 3, 19 minutes 1 second to 19 minutes 39 seconds. And it's announced that she's really into entomology. There's a reason I brought up Queenie, and that's because of bugs. So we get to Kinger. Introduced in the theme, Jax been here. Oh. Jax says that Kinger has been here supposedly the longest. And I was explaining how, yes, he was one of the programmers that jumped in when Cain had killed Abel. You know, when things were going wrong with the software. He's one of the scientists that jumped in. Or programmers or whatever. Asks if someone said something about an insect collection, which, as I said, Queenie, entomology is the study of bugs. So when he hears about insects and such, it reminds him of his wife. Suspects Kaufmo went insane after Kaufmo talked about the exit. Yeah. And Kinger, you're insightful there. And we'll get to that when I do Kaufmo, which I guess Kaufmo will have his own, but I'll throw in other characters, I guess, to quick, because I've been doing 2 at a time. Excited when he thinks insect collection. Oh, yeah. Because of his wife, who's abstracted. Asked Zubel if a game show was inside the Glowing Queen. I don't know why. He knew that the Glowing Queen I guess it was originally supposed to be, instead of a thing, but Gloinks might have been a game show that he programmed. Who knows? Wait, when insane after cough mode, talking about exit, has moment of glitch, then gets startled because he forgot Gingle was there, and then the excited. So I missed one of my notes while I was reading this. Explains none of them need to eat nor sleep. And now we go to episode 2. Enjoys seeing Candy Bugs. Once again, the bugs. His wife. Spoke at Kaufmo's funeral. Now we're at episode 3. I guess Kinger didn't do much. Breath hold is he glows. Even he doesn't know why Pomni's eyes won't retract. That didn't happen with Kinger's first wild take. So yeah, I don't know what that's about, but it is something I put in my notes. While still holding Pomni's eye to help her get it back in her head, leaps to retrieve the comedy mask, Gingle's happy mask. All right. Nothing there. Kinger, I know I have more notes for you. My notes are just out of order right now. Here we go. Wondering what Scary Face is, plays tape on shelf. Oh, so I guess there was a Scary Face, and wondering what it was, he saw the tape and knew to press the button. Then again, this is game logic. When you see stuff and want to know you can progress or learn lore of the game, you find a tape and you press it, or a tape recorder or whatever, and you press it. I'm starting to think, and he doesn't go anywhere from there. Yes, Kinger, you are starting to think. He suggests taking the dumbwaiter up. Oh, yeah, he's starting to think because it's dim lighting. That helps him think. Let's see. Plays the next tape he finds. Rather inconvenient lore placement. Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. Rather inconvenient darkness. Yeah. There's an interaction. Suggests going back to the trophy room while hold in each other. I think it is while holding each other. Let's see, there's an interaction. Oh, and then of course, when the seraphim, the angel, whatever it is, it's an angel, not a seraphim. But when the angel opens his mouth and there's those spots, you look beautiful, honey, as he's mesmerized, because that's the last sight he saw of his wife. 13 minutes, 29 seconds into episode 3, he takes charge. So rather than just being this guy who sometimes is smart, sometimes insane, he actually takes charge like he should have been. With only 2 bullets, something shoots Angel's body and head. Oh, he's able to shoot both the Angel's body and head with only having 2 bullets, so 1 each. So expert marksman there, not really, I don't know, but he knew he could do it. He cautions Pomni before going through the cloud of mini souls. he tries to stop Pomni from being reckless. I have a feeling that he has some therapy that he needs, not just because of his wife, but I'm wondering if they had a daughter. And if he forgot about his daughter, then that's going to come up in episode 8 or sometime near the end, where at some point he may remember that he once had a daughter. I don't know, but that's where it sounds like this is going. And he sees Pomni as his daughter. Pulls possessed Pomni out from the cloud. Oh, the possessed Pomni says, "How's your wife, Kinger?" Which, once again, talking about Queenie having been abstracted. Kinger says, 7 years of computer science. And we know that he's talking about high school, college, which means he is probably old, which means he might have even been one of the heads of his department. Maybe he had someone there that he treated like a daughter. And that's why he's doing that with Pomni, because it's in his nature to do so. Anyway, there's an interaction. I see the timing here. He used to hate bugs. Queenie got him into liking bugs. Because she showed him that bugs weren't that bad. Of course, computer bugs and the animal bugs are two separate things, so but yeah, I eek a bug. If you love animals, I'm one, because you've seen right now my Thursday posts are animals. And yeah, I see bugs as cute little animals. Helps Pomni as they walk, hand in hand, holding their breath. Or breaths. There's an S there. Let's see. Upon getting back, Kinger went back to being Kinger. Once they returned to the others and there was light, he went back to being insane. Forgot to retrieve Gangel's comedy mask. It's like, oh yeah, that's why we were there. But, that would say ba-dum-bump moment. Episode 4 stays behind, forcing Zubul to join the adventure, which I think he was being clever on that, where Zubul's always trying to avoid. Kinger was getting just so, or not Kinger, Kane was, and so Kinger knew he could diffuse the issue by saying, what if I stay behind and Zubul can go on the adventure? He was stopping Kinger from doing something drastic. So is Kinger insane? Or is this a huge act? Couldn't it be both? While in stupid state, jealous of Pomni and Gummy Goo. What? I don't know. That doesn't sound like a Kinger thing. So I believe that was actually a Ragatha note that I put in Kinger's notes. Oh, and then the photo shows that while the others were on their adventure, Kinger was bull riding at a rodeo. So that's a story that they're never going to tell us. 10 minutes left. Okay. Votes yes on Jax being vegan. Upon finding out Pomni doesn't have her character sheet, pulls her under the desk to explain things using a baby head lamp for illumination. Blue is Kinger's favorite color because it's closest to black. Which, believe it or not, that actually makes sense to me. Black is my favorite color, and I tend to, when black's not available, go with maybe a purple because that is close to black. So blue's not really his favorite color. He says that because, he's Kinger. Let's see. Black wasn't King 8 something because, black wasn't Kinger's favorite color because there were no black wires on the bomb. Yeah, as I said, if I don't have my favorite color, then I choose a second favorite, which, anyway, writes EIGO. Ego. Oh, writes ego in kanji. Confused about English being the language. So in this was with Gengel's school thing. And in kanji, he wrote the word ego, which is English. And so he's looking at it saying, English is their formal language? Oh, no, is a foreign language? Yeah, he was confused about that after he wrote, and somehow he knew what it said. Just after Jack says he prefers a little bite in adventures, he happens to take a bite from a sandwich. That's a sight gag there. There's an interaction. Come on. I would like to get this done within the next 5 minutes. Let's see. Votes no on whatever Jack suggested for Zubul. Interaction. Gives an inspirational coach talk. 17 minutes, 51 seconds in episode 5. Votes yes for Jax wearing the maid outfit. There's an interaction. When Softball gets eaten, he's about to use his eye to substitute, but then tosses Zubul's eye since it's regulation size. Episode 6 creates a one-up butterfly to restore Ragatha's missing life. This is something that before now, Jax, during the gun game also helped Pomni realize that they can do anything. So Jax has been there for a very long time. Let's see. Admits the butterfly has nothing to do with Kane. I made it up. Yes, because Kinger, you're the one that programmed the butterfly to restore her health. Oh, I loved his get ready for my ricochet super move, which ends up killing him. He's the second one in the loser's corner. There's the interaction. Oh, here's a note. Loser corner is dimly lit. Oh, yeah. Which explains Kinger becoming more himself. Remember, he's crazy, but when it's dimly lit or dark, then Kinger starts to become more himself. He has an almost immunity to abstraction. Otherwise, he would be abstracted by now. It's just whatever is keeping him from being abstracted is also the cause of him being crazy when he's not in darkness. That's the only thing that calms the abstracted, by the way. He hated himself for the things he thought he was responsible for. And he believes he's responsible for Cain having this much power, for Cain being able to do what Cain does. He thought he left everything, then Ragatha showed up. Oh, he thought he lost everything, then Ragatha showed up. So she's the one that saved him. So I'm thinking Ragatha showed up before Jax. This sort of helps with the order of things. Let's see. Dressed and acting like a cat in the loser corner. He got 10 votes. Episode 7. Laughs at Cain's I don't understand Chinese bit. Might know more about the circus than he lets on. Well, yeah, he helped program the original program, but probably allowed Cain and Abel, gave them powers so they can design it any way they saw fit, and that's how it became the circus. Let's see. Any more? I know there's more Kinger in here somewhere. And that would be the end of that. Okay. There's an interaction. He may know something about how to leave the circus. Yeah, it's hinted. You have to understand stories. You have to understand the human psyche and such. But it's indicating in episode 7 that Kinger might actually know how to leave the circus. However, it will cause problems for a lot of them. It could be that they're too old, they won't survive out there anymore. He's too old, he won't survive out there, that is. And he's purposely making sure they stay. Or he doesn't want to give them an out if it's going to end up poorly for them, bad for them. He says he doesn't know Abel. This is probably Cain removing it. My guess is Kinger ended up in the circus, asked Cain what happened with Abel, and Cain said, Abel who? And altered Kinger's mind so he would forget about Abel. Let's see. He was about to give important information to Pomni, unfortunately went blank after after leaving his pillow fort. So he was about to tell Pomni something very important. Had to do with Cain. It had to do with everything he knows about Cain and the circus and everything. However, as soon as he left his pillow fort, he went back to being Kinger. And then a couple other interactions. And I believe Kinger, when he's in the light, because he is immune from the abstraction, and what's causing his immunity is also causing him to be crazy when he's not in dim light or darkness. And part of it was Cain's doing. Hey, I'm actually under an hour, not by much. So that's that. Next will be, unfortunately, after. So my notes are going to be altered. I don't know what I'm going to do. I really do want to finish up having Zubul and Gangle being the next one. It'll be on a Wednesday after the 20th. I don't know if I should do I think the Wednesday after the 20th, I should do a Okay, here's the characters I talked about before and the circus, and here's where I was right, here's where I was wrong. I may just dismiss my notes altogether, if the next episode says that. Oh, it's now after an hour. So, like, comment, share, subscribe, notifications, end of video, and yeah, next Wednesday I'd like to talk about episode 8, end of video.